time you get through here, you'll have done like 500 questions and you'll be ready to
Oh,
go.
yay. Okay.
All right. Supplier relationships. So develop and manage effective supplier relationships. So definition, here's from ISM, process of collaborating with internal stakeholders to segment suppliers and manage the relationships appropriately. Think Kralik matrix. And SRM, which is supplier relationship management, includes working with current suppliers to improve performance, as well as identifying and developing new ones. The benefits of a good supplier, I mean, I'm not going to go into that. Everybody kind of knows that. Ways of promoting good supplier relations and trust. Here's a little thing it's not too bad. It kind of talks about some stuff. Scorecards we do. Timely payments we're good at. Not all companies I've worked for have been that way. Issues in supplier product education and involvement. So supplier clinics, understanding buyers' needs and processes, procedures. So this is where we would bring the suppliers in and show them our procedures and how we do business. Must keep certain information confidential and use care when putting suppliers together. So like at our SPM dinner, having competitors sit at the same table is usually a bad idea. Site visits, this is one we do a lot. Forums, which are our, what the heck do we call these things? We have them out at divisions, CMP days. Cultural norms, be aware of the cultural norms, especially if you're dealing with a supplier that's based in Asia or Europe. They think differently than we do. Confidentiality policies. So really, if you're going to send anything that's marked as confidential, which is a drawing from PACCAR or anything like that, you need to have an NDA with the supplier before you send it out to them. So if you're sending them an RFP, if you're sending them drawings to have them look at, you got to have an NDA. Proper controls, yada, yada. Label information is confidential. We're doing that now on all of our electronic stuff. Our NDAs are pretty good. Yeah, so if you're going to have engineers start talking to new suppliers, NDA needs to be in place. Policies for suppliers regarding buyers, intellectual property, label it confidential, NDA. So if you're dealing with companies in China, you really got to know who you're dealing with because they don't really have any protection for IP or intellectual property. Reciprocity. So this is the practice of the buyers giving preference to a supplier that is also a customer of the buyer's company, which is really our freight guys downstairs. All the freight companies pack our trucks, and we use them to move our parts to us. So it can be illegal if it restricts competition. Impact on suppliers and buyers. Reciprocity is not in accordance with the principle of buying and selling and fundamental criteria, cost, service. So you got to be, I mean, you can give a company for operating trucking lanes and we want a new truck supplier. I mean, we can give them preference, but you just can't make it so they're the only ones and it's really easy for them to get the business. They got to be competitive. Country-specific differences. North America, it's often illegal. And it's illegal if you lock out all the other competition one way or another. Under the Clayton Act, which is 1914, we studied it, reciprocity is restricted to trade and creates unfair competition. The way we do it is legal. They're just another bidder on our truck routes. It's not illegal in the commercial trucking manufacturing industry. Foreign government may issue contract to an organization outside of its country, but requires strict local content. So both Brazil and Mexico do this. And international contracts may also involve barter or counter trade. I don't think we're involved in any of that. Continuous improvement, philosophical approach intended to ensure that business evaluates, measures, and improves its business activities. So you always want to be getting better. Buyers work with suppliers to establish criteria. So measure variables that are present in production. This is Six Sigma. Right the first time. This is Six Sigma. Design and measured conformance without waste, surpassing customer needs. Yeah, this is a lot of the Six Sigma stuff. Cost. Buyers work with suppliers to reduce the cost of products. Now, ISM will say use the value analysis, value engineering. We don't really use that here. We use Six Sigma. 80% of the cost of a product is determined in the initial design phase. What materials you use and how you design, how many parts are in it, that type of thing. Buyers must clearly define their service needs. So this is for the guys in indirect purchasing. Include a statement of acceptable service levels. You got to tell them what's good and what's not. Cycle time reduction, typically the target for reduction of wait time and elimination of unnecessary steps. This usually saves you money. And technology, 3D printing, other things like that, robotics can help reduce the cost of making the part. Sustainability, training and joint activities help continuous improvement in environmental and social sustainability. So here's a supplier relationship spectrum. On one end, we've got vertical integration. Think Dynacraft. It's a supplier, but it's wholly owned by PACCAR. On the other end, we've got a lot of suppliers. Think fabrication, metal benders. There's just thousands to choose from. In between, we've got, a few suppliers in this Keiretsu network. So the Keiretsu network, it's Japanese, and really what it is a group of companies that all own each other's stock and are put together. So you got to be careful with this kind of thing in the United States because of antitrust laws. But Japan, this is very prominent. And then few suppliers, long-term partnerships are formed with one or a few suppliers. That's this block. And then many suppliers, this is much more transactional. So strategic alliances and partnerships, mutual long-term relationship that benefits both parties. Supplier may add more value than in a routine relationship, and methods for identifying potential alliances. You want to achieve some kind of benefit with the supplier, reduce the lead time, enhance flexibility, reduce cost, gain a competitive advantage through some technology. Early supplier involvement, we do this one a lot. Reducing inventory. So suppliers with significant relationships already, what is in it for the supplier? So why would they do it? So they can gain market share, develop joint processes and save money, and work more effectively with us and save money. So now this is according to ISM again, forms of alliances. You got the basic alliance, trust and communication short-term. The basic alliance is the lowest form of alliance. And next level up is operational alliance. Supplies a product as a matter of routine, joint problem solving, no ongoing cross-organizational teams. So these guys are on contract, basically. Business alliance, supplier provides some unique or specialized product. So this is the next step up. Invest in additional assets, committed volume, limited concurrent engineering, and ad hoc organizational teams with the supplier. And then finally, the top is strategic alliance. Provides products of strategic importance to the buyer, and it's a long-term commitment. Usually involved early on new designs and hopefully shares some risks. And it's the highest form of alliance. These are our powertrain suppliers, guys like that. So to develop an alliance, you conduct an initial analysis, then an opportunity analysis. And I think later on we go over what an opportunity analysis is. Develop recommendations, implement plans, pretty typical implementation stuff, and then sustaining alliances, joint planning, reports, KPIs, and then give some incentives to the supplier for good performance. And then to conclude it, termination terms while it's being developed. And then certification issues. So according to ISM now, alliance suppliers are usually certified, which is their highest level. And when a supplier is certified, it means that the QA system is audited and does not require incoming inspection. So this doesn't really apply to a large firm like PACCAR because we don't do incoming inspection anyway, but small technical firms do a lot of incoming inspection, and it takes labor. So not all certified suppliers are alliance suppliers, but all alliance suppliers should be certified suppliers. Reverse marketing and supplier development. So this is where the buyer is persuading the supplier to make into making a part instead of the supplier marketing their services to the buyers. Usually this is with a small, young company that's in an up and coming area where the company doesn't have a lot of money, but they're dealing with big suppliers and they got to sell them the sizzle reel to get them to help invest in the company so they can get a decent deal on the parts. Technology startup companies. We're going to be huge. You want to be in on the ground floor. This is all what you got to sell to the supply base. Supplier development, improving various supplier capabilities. Well, we do this quite a bit, and usually it has to do with on-time shipping or quality or both. And supplier mentorship, aiding and training the supply base from buyers personnel. We don't really do this a lot. But then there's early supplier involvement, ESI. We get involved in this a lot in our tollgate new product programs. So you bring suppliers in the design stage, and usually for us, ESI suppliers are suppliers where we don't own the design. So we give the supplier a spec, and they build to our spec. Radiators, transmissions, axles, things like that. So they do all the detailed drawings, and it's really their design. It's designed to our specification. We have to bring those guys in really early in the design process. So new product development, suppliers the experts in the area, and develop cycle time reduction, co-location. So oftentimes we'll have personnel from these powertrain suppliers in our engineering units. And be careful they don't take advantage of the situation to eliminate competition by doing the drawings for you and making something that nobody else can bid on but them. And then supply chain management. So competition is no longer between discrete companies. So PACCAR and Freightliner. Rather, it's between PACCAR and Freightliner's supply chains. And how well can they deliver parts and for us to put the trucks together. That's supply chain management. So seamless process across organizational boundaries to our suppliers, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, reduces expenses by optimizing resources. So everybody ideally would be using the same ERP systems. You can see where inventory is throughout the system. Risk management. So supply management is the focal point for the supplier, transportation and inventory, and flow down of multi-tier purchasing agreements. Purchasing can contract for common raw materials and make it available to the entire supply chain instead of each company doing it. And then value chain analysis, characterized by value-added activities. What are they and who's doing them in your supply chain? And then supply innovation. Breakthroughs, differences, managing decision-making. Crowdsourcing can produce innovative ideas, but has issues with IP. Top-line revenue growth. All right. The philosophical approach intended to ensure that a business evaluates, measures, and improves its business activities is called what? Any guesses up? Yep. Better be continuous improvement. I'm going to be mad. C it is. All right, let's go do one more here. Potential benefits of early supplier involvement, ESI, includes all of the following except which one is not like the others. What would you go with here? I'm just looking down the list. You know, A is something that would be in ESI. And I remember them mentioning cycle time reduction, so you can throw out the first two. So that leaves you with C and D. Any guesses?
D.
Yeah, that's what I would go with because I remember them talking about co-locating engineering. D it is. All right, there's 7 questions out there. You guys see if you can get them done. Raise your hand when you get done. Otherwise, we'll go over answers at 2:25. And there's also this case study if you want to get extra credit. Answers are on this answer sheet here from the recall questions. All right, let's go over some answers. I'll post the answers after we're done here. Number 1 is Charlie. Company A's testing process diminishes or destroys the value of the prototype hinges. So they should buy them. 2 is also Charlie. Metrics may change over time in response to evolving needs. You're looking for one that doesn't fit. 3 is Bravo. Seamless value-added process throughout an organization's as a supply chain. 4 is Charlie. Properly worded non-disclosure agreement clarifies what information is covered. 5 is also Charlie. A key factor in determining whether reciprocity is legal is the degree to which activity tends to restrict competition. 6 is Alpha. Because a supplier day or forum will allow the supplier to look over Acme's products and find out what else they can do. Also known as a CMP day for us. And 7 is Delta. Because the engineering director is talking about a no-frills buy and sell type of agreement, essentially a purchase order. And the difference is that there's an alliance between the two companies. Kelsey, on the other hand, is talking about a possible concurrent engineering or joint technology development, which would be a business alliance. And strategic alliance wasn't in there as an option, so you couldn't get confused. Any questions? All right, we'll pick up tomorrow with E3. See you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.